The movie begins with a sympathetic children's teacher and pacifist named Emma.
Okay, julle, sien dit, ek sien julle volgende kwartaal.
She is on her last day of school before the vacation, but since she has a problem with her boyfriend, she decides to spend the vacation with her father. Later she passes by the receptionist, who hands her a backpack containing camping equipment left there by her cousin.
Let's see. Okay, bye. Bye.
Next, we see a criminal group loading boxes into a van. They have to transport illegal substances, and the mastermind, Bossman, tells them to get ready and leave. Emma is on the road in her car, driving to her father's farm. She calls him and tells him to start the timer to check how long it will take to get there, because her father is overprotective of her.
May job om te worry.
Jy moet nou nie worry nie.
She receives a message from her boyfriend and appears very upset. She gets out of the car to reply. It turns out that she had a conflict with him because of a fight he got into. He hit another person, and she is now very angry with him because she is a pacifist. Her boyfriend justifies himself by saying he was defending himself, but Emma says she wants a kinder non-violent boyfriend. She gets back into the car. Later, the gang, already on the road, is stopped by a policeman on duty.
Okay. It's okay, Pete.
The policeman approaches the van and asks for the papers of Pete, the newest member of the gang. Pete is very nervous and is unable to mask his nervous tension. The policeman realizes that something is wrong and asks him what is in the back of the van. Bossman responds that they are moving and the van is full of tools and other items. But the policeman gets annoyed. The three henchmen from the group approach and call the policeman, pretending to need help with directions. The policeman tells them to wait. Seeing that they cannot divert his attention from the van, three men get out of the car and approach the policeman. He feels danger and tells them to get back in the car. But at that point, they all pull out their weapons and manage to subdue the officer. One gang member, Baz, hits the policeman in the head with his gun, knocking him unconscious, and they decide to take him to a hidden place. At that moment, Emma is driving in that same direction, and her car has a problem with the radiator and overheats. She tries to use the phone to call for help, but there seems to be no signal in that area. The gang comes to an area not too far from the road, and they surround the policeman, who has a bag over his head. Since he has seen their faces, they cannot release him and decide to kill him. But Bossman doesn't want to get his hands dirty, and orders Pete to do it, because he is the one who put them in this difficult situation. First, however, Bossman wants to check if Pete knows how to shoot, but then he finds out that the rookie has never used a gun before. He orders him to take 2 test shots at some rocks just ahead. Emma stands on the road nearby and hears the shots. Curious, Emma leaves her car on the road and goes in the direction of the noise. She witnesses the scene of the gang surrounding the policeman. Just then, Pete shoots into the policeman's shoulder, and she is shocked. Seeing this, she drops the bottle in her hand and attracts the attention of the thugs. She starts running, and the thugs immediately chase her. They catch up with her easily, and take her back to the rest of the group. Now they realize that they have to kill her too, but one of them, Bwila, says that they should use her first, and only then eliminate her. Bossman agrees to the idea, but with the condition that whoever uses her will be in charge of killing her. The group doesn't realize that the policeman is still alive, in fact crawls slowly toward the police car. Emma sees him, and he signals to her to remain silent. As the gang decides who will be the first to use Emma, the policeman finally arrives at the car. Bwila takes Emma aside and handcuffs her, But before he can start to do anything, the officer escapes. The criminals start chasing him and shoot him in the process. Bossman takes a rifle from the car and positions himself on the knoll, eventually hitting the officer in the head. Meanwhile, Emma desperately tries to grab the belt where the handcuff key is. She finally manages to reach it and breaks free. As she runs, she recalls her father's teachings as a child on how to defend herself. She crosses a fence and manages to get back to the car, from which she takes a small bag. Meanwhile, Boyle discovers that Emma has run away. Bossman is furious because they are doomed if they don't kill the girl. He tells them all to go together to look for her using radios to communicate. Thus, they set out to hunt for Emma. Meanwhile, her father is worried because his daughter should have already arrived or communicated with him. He watches the road waiting for her arrival but sees no one. He calls her, but he can only reach the answering machine, which makes him even more worried. At that moment, Emma is hiding and is in a state of panic. She begins to cry, terrified of what might happen to her. Soon she calms down and starts rummaging through her backpack for something that will be useful for this situation. The 6 thugs find Emma's car and rummage through her things. They find her papers and discover her personal information. They soon find which direction her tracks are going and warn Bossman. As she walks, Emma realizes that she is leaving her trail all the way, allowing the gang to follow her. So, she sees a hill in the distance and gets the idea to forge more tracks in other directions. Subsequently, she heads in a specific direction. Meanwhile, a local farmer spots Emma's car. He checks the car and finds Emma's papers, and shouts a few times for her name but receives no response. It turns out that the farmer is good friends with Emma's father. Seeing no one nearby, he moves elsewhere to get signal and calls Emma's father. When he hears the news, the man immediately sets out to reach the farmer. The thugs arrive at the place where Emma had left the most tracks. Pete notices 3 different directions, so they decide to separate into groups of 2 to find her. When someone finds some trace of her, they should immediately notify the others by radio. Emma finds some drinking water and can finally hydrate herself properly. Soon after, Boyle and another gang member spot Emma in the distance. But before alerting the others, Boyle has other plans with Emma, still wanting to abuse her. The other guy is nervous, but listens to him and does not contact the others. Boyle approaches Emma, points his gun at her, and tells her to hand him the canteen. Drinking some water, he approaches her and begins to touch her. She realizes that her father was right about the violence. Meanwhile, her father has arrived, and looking at the tracks, he realizes that Emma has run away and is being chased by 6 men. He tells the farmer that he has always trained her since she was a child, but when she shoots an animal, she realizes she has made a mistake. Since then, Emma has always tried to avoid violence.
Wat kan jy agveld doen? Toe vra ek vir haar, maar hoekom? Maar nie vir 4 Robins nie.
The other gang member goes to check on her, and no longer sees Boyle with her. He immediately warns the others, saying that Boyle has captured Emma, but he made a mistake and died. Emma overhears their whole conversation on Boyle's radio and then runs away. One of the thugs starts chasing her. She gets angry and warns the others of his death. She hears them over the radio and informs them she called the police, and they are about 2 hours away from their cars, so they should run now. Nevertheless, the gang has no intention of leaving her alive, and the girl challenges them to catch her.
Hoor jy my?
One of the gang member continues to follow her trail, and suddenly, she throws a large stone at his head. Thinking of him dead, she goes down, and when she is about to pursue her way, he grabs her by the leg and starts choking her. She manages to reach the gun next to her and shoots him. The others hear a shot through the radio and ask what happened. She replies that she killed the second one, and there are only 4 more to go. In the process, the thugs begin to feel sick, because they drank contaminated water. Nevertheless, Bossman tells them to put their pain aside and move on. Later, as they continue, they manage to spot Emma in the distance, and Bossman shoots her with his rifle. She appears to have fallen, but they are not sure if she is dead or not, so they go to check. They find that she is still alive, and see her running toward abandoned establishments. Bossman shoots her again, but misses. He orders the others to go and kill her, while he stays there for cover. The rest of the gang slowly approaches the abandoned property. Not knowing precisely where she went, they decide to split up. Emma spots a sharp piece of iron and gets an idea. So when one of the thugs goes inside, he is caught off guard by her, who uses the piece of iron to kill him. Bossman spots Pete, who does nothing to look for Emma, and tells him that he will leave him here if he does not get busy. Baz enters the house to look for the girl. Pete calls the friend who is supposed to be inside the abandoned shed, but seeing that he is no longer answering, he goes inside and is also taken by surprise by Emma. She immediately disarms him and puts the knife to his throat. Pete says he is a pacifist, and that he is sorry. He begs her to let him live, and she softens, letting him go. Once he gets outside, Pete starts yelling that she is in the shed. Immediately, she throws a knife straight at his back before he can warn the others of her position. Bossman gets nervous when he calls the others and gets no answer. So, he decides to join them. Baz hears Emma enter the house and catches her, tackling her. She uses a psychological tactic and challenges the criminal, saying that he would be afraid to fight a woman. He drops his gun and says he will teach her how she should behave in the kitchen. They start hand-to-hand combat, but while he is weak and sick from the contaminated water, she feels quite well. Baz pushes her, and she grabs an iron, with which she repeatedly strikes the thug. She comes out of the house and comes face to face with the last of the gang, Bossman. She says now she just has to kill him, and he underestimates her and proposes to play a game, a gun duel. His mistake is that he does not know that she has had military training from her father, a war veteran. Emma, with 2 guns, jumps to the side and shoots him. Elsewhere, we see her father, who is already at home, sitting in a chair, watching the trail, hoping for his daughter's arrival. He gets emotional and cries, perhaps thinking that he will never see her again. Suddenly, his face quickly changes when he sees someone in the distance. Emma managed to survive using his strategy, but still took a shot to the shoulder, fortunately, not fatal. She walks staggering toward her father. They hug, and then we see Emma in the hospital. She has learned a new lesson about violence and defense, and decides to forgive her boyfriend and get back together with him.